Hello, I'm Doug McConnell, and I produce and host a show called OpenRoad on NBC Bay Area. And I've followed and admired the work of the SonomaLandTrust for a very long time, including its important efforts, along with many other partners, to protect a corridor, a pathway for wildlife to travel safely from Napa through Sonoma and out to the coast in Marin, so the wildlife can thrive, their natural environment can thrive, and so can we, all of us together, in the 21st century. In 2016, I had a chance to explore a piece of that wildlife corridor that's very important and very vulnerable with two members of the SonomaLandTrust staff.
Oh, here's what I call a lion pit. Mountain lions, pumas will create these to mark their territory.
Deer, mountain lions, bobcats, the foxes, the skunks.
Everybody's coming
under the freeway.
In the Bay Area, we've proudly protected more than 1 million acres of open space, which wildlife depends upon for survival. Now, to ensure that wildlife will flourish with us in our ever-expanding urban environment, we have a little more protecting to do, and progress is being made in the North Bay.
Well, those are the Mayacamas Mountains rising on the eastern edge of Sonoma Valley, the Valley of the Moon, and there's quite a bit of protected land in those mountains that serve as sanctuaries for wildlife. But for wildlife populations to be healthy, wild animals sometimes have to leave one sanctuary and find another for food and water and mates. Trouble is, they then have to cross our busy roads and go through our communities, which of course can be very, very dangerous. So, for wild animals to thrive in the 21st century, we humans are going to have to help them out and provide opportunities for safe passage.
Plans are afoot to sustain what's called a wildlife corridor, stretching from Napa County all the way to the coast, connecting protected landscapes with pathways wildlife can navigate safely past our homes and highways. One of the most dangerous crossings for wildlife is in the heart of Sonoma Valley, between sanctuaries on Sonoma Mountain to the west and the Mayacamas to the east, where we start our journey.
You know Japanese? Ichi.
With the SonomaLandTrust, John McCall on the left and Tony Nelson on the right. We begin with a big view west towards Sonoma Mountain, with the valley directly below us.
And we took you up here because you can really see it. You know, this isn't something where you have to imagine it. You can look across the valley, you can see where the vineyards start and stop and where the wildlands are. Wow.
We hike downhill towards the valley in a preserve protected by the SonomaLandTrust, lightly traveled by us humans, but not others.
Here's what I call a lion pit. If you know lions are there, it's somewhat characteristic, and there's usually a number of them along a certain stretch.
So if I'm another lion, I walk along here, I see those markings, I want to keep moving.
Unless you're a really big male, and then you can do what you want. Yeah, you can dig a bigger one.
The SonomaLandTrust has deployed cameras to see precisely who lives in this terrain and commutes through it.
The typical ones that we've captured on our cameras range from mountain lions, coyotes, bobcats, down to skunks and opossums.
This protected preserve is a healthy habitat for many stealthy species we rarely see, but who have eyes on us. By the forested bank of Stewart Creek, we spot a major challenge the wildlife corridor faces.
It's an interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? We have one of the most important elements in the corridor, the aquatic riparian linkages, right next to one of the greatest challenges. You can see this type of typical vineyard fence. Almost nothing bigger than a mouse can get through this.
Can get through.
And economic driver, ecosystem driver, right next to each other. And we've got to be able to figure out how we have them both.
John and Tony also have to figure out whether critters can coexist with cars in their travels. And the answer can be found here, beneath busy Highway 12, just overhead.
Cars are just racing back and forth here, and this is the wildlife corridor right here at the Stewart Creek, right?
So everything actually along Stewart Creek funnels everything right to this spot. It's an important element because roads are known to be really significant barrier to a lot of animals.
but cameras have captured images of many migrating animals passing peacefully under the rumbling roadway. An elegant way for us to help wildlife travel safely here and in corridors far beyond.
And imagine Caltrans designing a bridge that was safe for people and safe for wildlife to move under.
This could be a big potential solution that could be applied all over the state.
Absolutely.
A bit south of the village of Glen Ellen, our final stop is above the Sonoma Development Center, which will be closing in 2018 after serving Californians with developmental disabilities for more than a century. The center owns this spectacular terrain on Sonoma Mountain, which Tony and John hope will soon be set aside permanently as open space and as a cornerstone of the corridor for wildlife.
Big and it's beautiful.
It's big and it's beautiful, and it's even bigger than you can imagine, because the developmental center is connected to Jack London, which is connected to other protected lands. There is an opportunity to just blend this right into the park system to protect our mountain.
And a perfect place for the wildlife to come and
The corridor connection.
the corridor in between.
From here, we can see the wildlife corridor below us and across to the Mayacamas, where we started, an emerging highway of hope for our wild neighbors in our modern times.
Well, now in 2021, right here in Sonoma Valley, a big issue has emerged that will determine whether this highway of hope, this corridor for wildlife, will be able to function successfully far into the future, so that wildlife, nature, and we can all thrive together. Plans are being made for what to develop and what to protect in the former Sonoma Developmental Center near Glen Ellen, right in the heart of the narrowest point of the wildlife corridor. From the perspective of the Sonoma Land Trust and my own, protecting key aspects of the wildlife corridor is absolutely essential, and so is providing affordable housing. Finding the balance is the goal, and it can be done. Well, time is of the essence. Big decisions are going to be made very soon that will affect the quality of life for nature and for us for generations to come. I urge you to get informed, get engaged, and get involved. To find out more, please go to SonomaLandTrust.org.